good evening, and welcome to your Rangers Journal pre-match thoughts. It's Europa League Thursdays again, and tonight we have the mighty Manchester United. Doug, looking forward to this one, mate.
Yeah, I am. Partly because right now they're not really the not so mighty Man United.
Yeah, fair.
It's probably the best time in a long time for us to be coming up against United. So I really think that tonight could really be just simply a game dictated by who turns up, because both teams have been very inconsistent this season. So yeah, it'll be a really interesting one, I think.
That's it, mate. And what about yourself, Jock? Are you kind of comfortable coming into this, or are you concerned?
I wouldn't say I was comfortable, but like as Doug says, both teams really this season have been horrific in terms of consistency. And United, again, are just as bad as us. I was actually speaking to a mate of mine today, and he's a big United man. And he was saying that this will be the game that they turn up, because it's usually every 3 or 4 games they'll turn up for one, and it's all United are back, and then they go and throw. And I was like, that's just what we've done basically all season. We're all right at home, all right in Europa League. Then we have a wee trip away, and then we throw it all away, all the hard work we've done in the previous 3 or 4 games. So, as Doug highlighted, it's probably the best time to get the not so great Man United anymore. Still Manchester United, whatever way you look at it. It's not a glamour tie. It's still why players come to Rangers to play these kind of games. So I'm looking forward to it. I just got it. I'm no disrespect to you two, but I know where I'd rather be watching it.
Yeah, that's fair, mate. That's fair. And I think you highlight an interesting point as well. This is why players come to Rangers, is for these kind of big European nights. I was sat after the Fraserburgh game, and I was just thinking nothing quite highlights the kind of plight of Scottish teams in Europe, other than the fact that we've gone from playing Fraserburgh in the Cup to playing Manchester United in the Europa League. It's about as polar opposite as you can get, isn't it? Right, so we've got the team. I think some of this was probably dictated to us, Doug. I mean, obviously, I think we'd all pegged Barron was going to come in because Dio got a ban for that ridiculous handball. Was there any real surprises when you saw the team sheet?
No, nothing at all. It's the exact team that I predicted on the lowdown. Like you say, I think it pretty much picks itself. The only real question, I think, that really could have been asked is who played left back, given that there's the two of them there. But even then, I think Jeffrey's almost certainly going to be the one that'll be there. Yilmaz has played in that more advanced position against Spurs, and that was kind of what I was thinking. He'd go for the same setup as he did Spurs, because it's going to be a similar kind of challenge. The only player that really, Sutter would have been in the team if he could be, but as I say, Diamandi potentially as well. But other than that, even if the players were free, I think this would probably have been your lineup anyway.
Yeah, and Jock, I just want to pick on something that Paul's dropped in the chat there. It was the one player I got wrong, if I'm being honest, because I kind of thought that, just purely for consistency, because he's been playing recently while Butland's been out, that we might stick with Kelly. Obviously, he hasn't. Butland's come straight back in. What do you make of that decision, mate?
He's the number one goalkeeper, isn't he? That's, granted he's been out, he's had his injury problems, and I'd be personally thinking obviously his form's not been the greatest this season as well, but I think his best performances this season have probably came in the Europa League. Mm-hmm. So kind of makes sense to throw him in there. It was put in the chat this morning. I think it was Bob had said that it's a short window for him as well, which I could see that. He's going back to a ground that he knows quite well. He'll obviously want to put on a performance and show what he's capable of. And I'm hoping hope he's not too busy tonight. but I think to me, it's probably what I would have done as well. I would have picked my number one goalkeeper if he's fit and ready. I'd be throwing him into a big game like this. So, going back a couple of years ago, if McGregor was in the same position, you'd be throwing McGregor in 100%. So, yeah, no real surprise for me. I just hope he's quiet tonight.
Yeah, it'd be nice, wouldn't it? Hopefully the defence can keep him well protected. Doug, just in the middle then, obviously Connor Barron started his Rangers career on fire, I suppose, for want of a better term. Everyone was overjoyed with him. Dropped out the picture a wee bit more lately. Do you think that he's capable of coming in and kind of performing in the same manner that Dio has been in these big games?
Yeah, 100%. I think he's a different player. He'll offer different things, but I've absolutely no qualms about Connor Barron at all. Like you say, he came in and he played really well. I do think that the hype got a little bit overdone slightly, just because he was young and Scottish, and the type of he was showing the tenacity and the bite that people had been missing a lot from the team over the last few years.
Barry Ferguson, mate. That's all it is.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's exactly it. People kind of were getting their hopes up, and a lot of eggs were put in baskets, I think. But then, as it went on, you kind of saw the fact that he is still young. There are still some limitations to his game, for all the things that he's really good at. And then, obviously, I think just with the emergence of Raskin, Raskin's got a lot of similar qualities to Barron, but he's a bit better on the ball. He's a bit more technical. So, he was going to be the one that took over that kind of role in the team. And so that's why I think he's dropped out. I don't think it was necessarily so much that he wasn't playing well. It was just that there were others that could play better. He's the type of player I think is a good player to have in the squad, because I think when he comes in, you're not going to see a massive drop-off. Like I say, he does offer different things to Diomande, so we're not getting a like-for-like change there. But in terms of, is he someone that we can rely on to come into the team and put in a performance? Absolutely.
Cool. And Jock, rumours today, which I'm hoping he inflates even more, but rumours have it that if we were looking to make Vaclav Cherny's move permanent, we'd be looking at about €8.5 million. I would suggest that's probably out of our reach at the minute in the current situation we find ourselves in. Are you expecting him to kind of live up to that price tag tonight? Because I think for me, Europa League's, again, a bit like a few others, it's where he's really come alive for me.
Yeah, I think if any other sort of Europa League clubs are looking for a player of his caliber, then this is just, again, it's another short window. I think the fee quoted around the sort of middle of the season was $6.5 million. I think that's obviously inflated now because he's actually doing well. He's scoring goals. He's contributing. He seems to be enjoying his football, as you can see. So this again is another ideal match for him. Massive team, massive occasion to showcase. And just hoping he has another good night, because our European games he's been pretty good actually. If not goal scoring, he creates chances, and he drives at teams and pulls the team further up the pitch with his pace and the ball over the top. So it's something I think we can try and target United with, because a lot of the Premier League teams seem to be doing that against them. So I'm hoping we sort of do something similar. Again, it's another one. I hope he has a good night and a fruitful night. Same with Butland's a quiet night.
Aye, absolutely, mate. Absolutely. Bayrami, Doug. It's been a bit of a mixed boat. He came in, he looked bright. I would suggest he probably faded back a wee bit. Quick look at social media. It's kind of 50-50. Some people think he was awful against Fraserburgh. Some people think that he was fine. Do you think that this kind of game might, again, just with the kind of glamour of the tie, would this be the kind of game that might draw the best out of Bayrami?
You'd certainly hope so. Games like this should bring out the best in all the players. I've talked about it in relation to when we're talking about Clermont. Players don't need to be hyped up or put in the right mindset for games like this. These games do that themselves. The trouble is getting them to have consistency when they're not playing Man United, when they're playing Fraserburgh, when they're playing St Mirren and things like that. And that's been our team's problems. We're good on the big games, but we struggle in the small games, or the smaller games. You're right in that Barami's been a bit up and down. I don't think he's been people were quite excited about him coming in. He had that sort of famous goal from the Euros or the World Cup. So that everyone was watching that and sort of enjoying that and hoping that he was going to be bringing a little bit more. He has shown in moments though that he does have that bit of extra quality. So I think maybe he's just taking longer to settle. I've talked already about this season perhaps showing us a bit about needing a little bit of patience and maybe we're just going to need a little bit longer for him to hit his stride. He has obviously been played not in his most favourite position, although a position that he does play for his country. So, I think, as I say, hopefully as time goes, he'll just keep improving, and we'll see more of him as the season goes on.
Yep, that's it, mate. And I think final player in the kind of lineup I want to look at is Iguaman. Again, maybe a bit of a mixed blessing this one, because obviously the better he does, the more likely teams will be sniffing about him before the window shuts. But he's certainly taken both Rangers and the Europa League by storm, Jock. Do you think he can continue that tonight? To argue this is one of his bigger tests so far?
Well, this is it. This will be his biggest test because it's Premier League quality opposition. So we'll get to see how he competes against the back line, how he bullies defenders, how he handles the occasion, the atmosphere. Again, this is another reason why he's here. This is the sort of games he wants to play. And like you say, if he does well, it's only going to increase the interest in him. But more interest means more money ultimately, which the club's craving. And this is the model that we're all going to have to try and get our head around and try and accept, that we're going to bring guys like this in, and when they hit the ground running and they start delivering goals and performances that these people are doing in both domestic and European football, we're just going to have to accept that we're not going to be able to see much of them or hold on to them for as long as we like. So
by the time you fall in love with them, they're getting sold.
That's it. This is just the game we need to play now as a club. Them across the city are doing it, and they're able to fund the next set of transfers that are coming in, and we just need to play catch up as best we can. And Iguaman's going to be one of those assets that's going to help us do that.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. Absolutely. I think if we play it right, and I mean, that is a doubt sometimes with the club and the way that it's managed, but if we do play it right, then as you say, he could be the foundation that player trading model is built on, probably in a similar way as to what Bassi should have been, but wasn't. Doug, I want to touch on the bench. I'm not impressed, to put it simply. I think the starting lineup's about as strong as we could put out. I do worry if we are chasing that game later on. I don't see an awful lot of game changers there, other than Dessers, who's kind of 50-50. He'll either be great or awful and no in between. What do you make of that?
Yeah, I mean, I think unfortunately it kind of is what it is. With the injuries and suspensions that we've got, we're always going to be struggling a bit to put some stronger bodies on the bench. Our depth isn't great in general, even with the full strength. I mean, if you're looking at who would have been on the bench, Suter, Sterling, Cortez, Diomande, they're all, two of them are starters. Two of them are players that have been in and out of the team. Obviously, depending on the squad, you could have had Hadji and Danilo in there. But yeah, as I say, we're just. I think we're going to have to hope that the main team can do the best they can. I think Dessers, Lawrence, perhaps, if depending on how he's been training, and McCausland are all good options to come on that will provide a bit of energy and legs and things in the latter half if that's what we're needing. Lovelace is obviously pretty quick, so he again, if it's later in the game and you're looking to get some legs on there, he does provide an option. God forbid, Dowell owns legs, so if things are going well, you're probably okay to stick him on just to fill a space. But obviously there's quite a few younger names there. Part of me would kind of like to see Rice in and out it, to be honest. Just to, again, if things are going well, then stick him on, see how he does. But yeah, like you say, I hope that it's a case of we're doing well and just want to freshen the legs up. Because if it's the other way around, then like you say, there's not really much there that screams game changer. So yeah, that's just kind of is what it is, unfortunately.
That's it. And just lastly, before we kind of go on any predictions, obviously there's going to be an ex-Ranger. I haven't seen the Man U lineup, but I'm assuming that he will be there in Amad Diallo.
He's in the game. He's starting.
He is, yeah, thought as much. Obviously, he gave us a bit of a torrid time in that preseason game. And I know you shouldn't read too much into preseason, but I think he kind of showed what he's capable of. Do you think that we'll be able to control him tonight, Jock?
I don't know, to be honest, because he seems to drift in and out of games. Like that game there against the Southampton, he was nowhere to be seen for 83 minutes, and then he scores a hat trick in 10 minutes, 12 minutes. So he has the ability. I just hope. I think obviously Tav will know a lot about him, and I think the manager will probably have some sort of plan for him to try and keep him quiet or keep him isolated, at least try and not get him too much service. But he has the ability to punish any team. We've seen that last season, or season before the FA Cup and stuff against, was it Liverpool? I think he came off the bench and he scored a cracking goal. So he's got bags of potential. We never really seen the best of it. I'm hoping we don't see too much of it tonight as well.
Yeah, agreed, mate. Agreed. Okay, so let's finish this up with some predictions. Be bold. So I'll come to you first, Doug. Firstly, who do you think's going to win?
I'm actually going to go for a draw. I think.
On the fence.
But I think that's the most likely outcome. Obviously, if someone's going to win, it'll be us. But I'm going to go for the draw, just because, like you say, both teams are very inconsistent. I think there's goals to be gotten against the back line. There is space there. Players like Cherney, I think, can get a bit of joy running at them. But at the same time, they've got massive quality. I mean, Bruno Fernandes on his own, you could buy our squad about probably 4 or 5 times over for the amount of money that a player like him costs. And he's a top quality player. Obviously, we touched on Amad when he's on at the moment, and even someone like Garnacho as well. He's a super talented young player. He's only going to go one way, whether that's at United or not. So there's a lot of attacking quality there. So I see them scoring. Obviously they're at home as well. So, but I'm going to go for a 2-2 draw.
2-2. Oof.
Yeah, a couple of goals.
What about yourself, Jog? Who do you think?
I think if we score early, first 10 minutes, if we get a goal in the first 10, 15 minutes, I think we'll do it. But I think we're going to get chances. I know that for a fact. We will get chances. We just need to take them. And I'm glad Iggeman's up front and not Dessers for that matter. So I think I'm sort of aligned with Doug. I can see it being a draw. And my brain says that, but my heart says 4-2, a 4-2 win, something something mad. Maybe go and stick a tenner on it now.
I was going to go for a slender 2-1 win for Rangers. It is Europa League night after all, but yeah, 4-2 I'd take 4-2 as long as it's us that got the 4. I'd be happy with that.
We've scored 4 a couple of times in Europa League already, so.
Aye, but Maguire's on the bench apparently, so probably not. Right, folks. Well, thanks very much for joining me tonight, guys. We will be back after the game with post-match reaction, hopefully celebrating a win. For the meantime, thanks again for joining. If you've liked what you heard, please do like and subscribe, and thanks for watching.